Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands, and welcome to an SP Patrons video today that I'm making for BranSi ZHANG as part of their custom monthly music review. And if we switch over to here, we've got ourselves a track by an act named Huanxi Zhao titled You Are My Eyes. And we've got lyrics for this kindly provided by Brandon as well, so thank you for that. And we're going to listen through this track from start till finish. I want to hear what we think. Let's go. Let's do this. Okay, starting with the pianos. It's kind of dope. I like the inclusion of those guitars alongside the keys. With the drums there. Lovely warm synthesizers. Fantastic mood there. And is that a bass guitar as well? Like, what don't we have in this song?
如果我能看得见，就能轻易地分辨白天黑夜，就能准确地在人群中牵住你的手。
Fantastic tone of voice alongside these jazzy extensions on the keys.
如果我能看得见，
fantastic range there.
驾车带你到
Interesting chord choice. We're rolling with some chromaticisms there on that upper range. The tension is really pretty. I think this is still his chest voice, so he's got a great vocal range. It's got like an 80s ballad format or something like that. Master stroke and development. The vocal harmonies here are just continuing to build it up and make it more grandiose. And
是不是上帝在我眼前遮住了脸
Huge sounding, eh? With the panning of those vocals on the sides. Fantastic harmony, vibratos there. I mean, like, there's nothing particularly unique about the melody and how he's singing over the chords there. I've heard it before, but he does it so well, you know, so well. He's got a great finesse, and his vocal technique here is very, very promising. Again, that lovely synth warmth texture in there, with the delicate right hand of the piano dancing over top. Falsetto. I love how the energy's been brought down in this part here. It can probably get a bit louder, but we don't need it to be. I like the space of the vocals in the mix, how they're right out on that left side as opposed to anywhere near the center. I don't usually like that, but he pulls it off really well here. Just because it seems a little bit too disparate. It's an interesting way that they've done the drums because it allows a lot of room for the kick to come in. Really tight attack and release on that compressor on the kick. Very punchy, but it doesn't overstay its welcome. It's commercial grade, studio-wise. Kind of reminds me a lot of 90s ballads, the Western stuff I've heard, you know. Some R&B and sort of soul elements here. occasional head voice. He's obviously more comfortable in his chest.
让我看见这世界就在我眼前。
Oh, surprising. And back up.
带我领略四季的变化，你是我的眼，带我穿越拥挤的人潮。你是我的眼，带我阅读。
Oh, the panning of that's kind of interesting. I'm not sure if that was a lady vocalist as a background though. The way she ascended and went danced around the headphones from right to left, that was really cool. It was a little bit of change that I think was needed in this outro chorus to continue to make it more meaningful. If we're having the story repeated, we already understand it. So you need to add a little bit of extra layering in there just to keep listeners throughout to the end. There's not a lot of power in that alone. It's very, very polished and quite, you know, constant in its dynamics. The Beltry is nice though. The Beltries are really expensive, dude. They're really expensive. I'd love a Beltry though, so I could start the reviews like that, you know, little live streams. You know, that's a fantastic, fantastic track though. I'm really happy with that. It fits all the sort of the major, I don't want to talk about this too much because we're about to go into the lyrics section, but it fits a lot of ticks a lot of the boxes, should I say, of what I expect from a ballad within a genre. Great first impression, you know? Now, something I noticed here, this is Ricky Xiao. So I'm assuming that Ricky might be another name for Huangxi Xiao, if I'm not mispronouncing that, you know? But we'll go, you are my eyes. If I could see, I'd easily differ between the day and night. I could precisely hold on to your hand among the crowds. I looked towards you, but I could see nothing. So basically, the person's talking about how this other person were the eyes that allowed them to see the world properly. And without them, they feel as though they're blind. Is that it, you know? That led me through the dense crowds, that led me through the vast ocean of books. You allowed me to see that the world's in front of me. I think that's obviously, it's a romantic kind of track there. There's a lot to appreciate, you know? Yeah, I think I've got this track down now to a certain extent. Because this is the conclusion of my review of this track by Huangxi Zhao, titled, what was the name of the song again? Oh, You Are My Eyes. You Are My Eyes, right. You Are My Eyes. What is this track about? Well, I mean, as per the lyrics section, I think this is about someone who loves another, and they realize that without them, they are basically blind to the world. They can't see it the same way as they did beforehand. They can't even see that the sky is blue because they can't notice that without having to sift through the memories. You know, they can't, they're struggling to see the goodness out there. They're even asking if God has removed the blindfold. You know what I mean? There's an inner spiritual kind of bit of introspection going on here with the song. And I enjoyed it. I think that it's the story makes sense. I'm sure there's a lot of people that will be able to relate to the feeling of, feeling like you're lost after someone leaves, or you leave someone and then realize, oh wait, what have I done? And yeah, I think that story makes a lot of sense. I think that the vocals behind it by Huangxi Zhao are fantastic. He's clearly got a great sense of vocal technique. His hidden chest voice was strong, even though he stayed predominantly in his chest voice. He was clearly the type of musician where they understood how to emote during the performance in a way that was appropriate to do the genre style of music they were doing. I really enjoyed the way that they use lots of different sort of vocal melodies without going away too much from the core kind of sequences that were there, like the hook and stuff like that. I like the fact they had enough variation there, especially with some of those harmonies with the sevenths that were kind of complex, like in the verse sections and stuff like that. They also knew how to work with all the different sort of string, bass, guitar, keys, etc. They knew how to work with all those different elements there to kind of make the song, the story work well and make the lyrics kind of stand out whilst also being a part of the overall sort of coloration of it. I think that was great. When I listen to this track, I hear someone who's confident in their vocal performance, knows how to express themselves to tell a story. and also has a nice amount of vocal technique there with some of those legato and vibrato passages. But they're also not only a good singer, they're also able to make room again for like the backing vocalists as well, especially like that last part where the higher lady vocals kind of took precedent over the mix and kind of went from right to left there and kind of took the listener away from Huangxi or Ricky for a moment. But I think that that's absolutely fine. I don't have an issue with that. I think they slammed it. I think it's great for a singer to know when to sort of give someone else a spotlight and then to come in. And they showed a great understanding of performance here as well as songwriting. But the track itself for 5 minutes, I think that was a good use of time. I have no issues with it at all. I think for what it was, which sounded to me like kind of a 90s kind of pop R&B ballad there, it worked well. You know, it had the traditional sort of like instrumental intro there with, you know, things being brought in over time. You know, we didn't get everything at once, and then, you know, Ricky led us through it and kind of got us to a point where we had everything in the chorus and like the second half there, and there was a nice sense of movement. There were no points where I felt as if there was any filler. The drums that came in later on were nice and poignant, but again, we had like, what do we have at the start? You know, we had like piano and synths and bass and keys and everything like that, and things came back down for the vocals as well. You know, we didn't just have everything the same loudness, we brought it back down. It's kind of like a fake out for Ricky to come in before we over time continued to add more, develop more. And the theme there at the start, especially with those seventh extensions and stuff like that, was emotionally sort of complex. It wasn't like cheesy, it wasn't major or minor, happy or sad. It was more like you were questioning what the heck was going on. So I think that was really smart from an actual performative and compositional perspective. It doesn't really give us the whole story until we get to the end and we really have the person crying out to, you know, realizing that what they've done and what their situation is. There's a thematic development there that is replicated by the music as we go through. I think there was room for more lead sections. It would have been cool to like maybe have like a saxophone solo or like more kind of lead elements there later half of the track, or maybe like to have one of those choruses where like they repeat half of the lyrics or like do a call and response with the vocals. But obviously, like you know, if we've got that strong of a hook, you don't really need to do that, do you? So that's fine. Ultimately, I think there's a lot to appreciate about the song, you know, from a performative perspective. I don't think there was a note out of place. I think there was a great chemistry between the members there. I think it was written very sort of carefully to suit the mood and aesthetic of the time that it was written. I don't think there were any sort of controversial or unexpected things going on there. There weren't any sort of weird time signature changes or any sort of issues with like the key sigs or like scales or harmonies there. We did have some chromaticisms or semitonal bits with some of the higher notes and some of the keys and stuff like that as kind of a transitional device between bars. But aside from that, it was fairly sort of like listener friendly. And I kind of adore the fact that we had that softness and that kind of vulnerability displayed there, whilst again trying to show the complexity of the situation thematically. In regards to the recording, mixing and mastering, the studio production, I'm happy with it. It is commercial grade. You can tell that whoever released it was like a major label or something along those lines, especially for the warmth, and like the vocals were recorded like it was like for a movie soundtrack. They were nicely recorded, filtered, and EQ'd. The bass, guitar, keys, piano, synths, strings, the backing vocalists, etc. were all sort of notched and put in various positions of the frequency spectrum there. The drum tone was very much sort of like mid-high, like we didn't have a whole lot of low end resonance, but I don't think that would have been beneficial for this. And the bass needed room to breathe, and it's kind of interesting that we don't have a lot of clickiness to that, like a lot of boominess to that bass. But maybe it just wouldn't have suited the mood there. Maybe we needed something that was a bit more bright and sort of shimmery. So maybe we had the high pass a bit higher, or maybe we accented the higher frequencies a bit more. I'm not sure. Either way, it was still kind of dope. There was a nice leveling to the elements of the mix. Again, nice and wide in the stereo field. We had variation of the panning of some of the parts like the vocals in the latter half there. There was dynamic range to this, even though later on it kind of stayed a bit constant, and that's why I kind of wanted maybe more change, like a different lead instrument, because if you're going to have things close to that ceiling, you need to have a bit more instrumental. But we had the vocals switching around, so that was fine. And yeah, it was nice and loud without pumping, and that is effectively my SP Patrons review for this month of a track by Huangxi Zhao titled You Are My Eyes. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please go show them some love via the various social medias, and I'm sure they're on the YouTube and other digital streaming platforms. And stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as either how more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. And I will catch you in the next SP Patrons video. Spiderhands Out.